You ever notice how people doubt you? How they look at you like you don't belong, like you don't have what it takes? They whisper, they judge, they test you. They throw their best shots, expecting you to fold, expecting you to break, but you don't. You stand there unshaken, composed, focused. You move with grace, with confidence, like you already knew how this was going to play out. They tried to rattle you, but all they did was expose themselves. Because when you know who you are, when you know what you're made of, fear doesn't live here, panic doesn't exist here. When the world comes at you hard, trying to shake you, trying to break you, trying to make you lose yourself in the chaos, that's when you show them who you really are. That's when you dig deep and hold your ground. Because let me tell you something, pressure is the great separator. It's the moment where the weak crumble and the strong rise. And you were never meant to crumble. You were never meant to fold. You were built for moments like these. Look around. Most people panic. Most people react out of fear. They start scrambling, making mistakes, letting their emotions dictate their decisions. But that's not you. You're different. You move with purpose, with confidence, with the kind of control that makes people stop and take notice. You don't let the situation define you, you define the situation. You ever see a fighter before a big match, how the opponent is jumping around, trying to get inside their head, talking trash, hyping themselves up, trying to make the other guy doubt? But the one who's truly dangerous, he's just standing there, still, focused, calm, because he knows what's coming. He knows his training, his preparation, his ability. He doesn't need to react emotionally. He already owns the moment. That's what it means to stay calm under pressure. That's what it means to truly control the situation. And make no mistake, people will test you. They will push you. They will try to provoke you just to see if they can get a reaction. Some people live off chaos. They create storms just to see if you'll drown in them. But when you refuse to react, when you refuse to be moved by their attempts, that's when the power shifts. That's when they realize they don't have control over you. And let me tell you, nothing is more unsettling to the ones trying to break you than seeing you unshaken. Because the truth is, when you stay calm, you force them to feel their own chaos. When you don't match their energy, they have to sit in their own frustration, their own uncertainty. And that's where you win. That's where you take over. Because now they're no longer focused on you, they're caught up in their own emotions, while you're already 10 steps ahead. That's the difference between you and them. When the heat is on, they look for a way out. You walk straight through the fire. While they're busy reacting, you're busy executing. And that's why they'll understand how you handle them so effortlessly. That's why they'll be hooked. You see, real power isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's not about proving yourself to everyone. Real power is knowing who you are so deeply that nothing outside of you can shake you. It's about walking into every situation with the quiet confidence of someone who has already won. Because you don't need to act tough when you are tough. You don't need to prove anything when you already know the truth. So let them come, let them try, let them throw everything they've got at you, and then watch what happens when you don't flinch. Watch what happens when they realize their games don't work on you. Watch how they start doubting themselves instead of making you doubt yourself. That's when they realize they never stood a chance. That's when they see you for what you really are, unshakable, unstoppable, untouchable. Life has been testing you from the moment you decided you wanted more, the moment you dared to believe in something bigger than yourself. Obstacles appeared, challenges rose up, and people started doubting you. But let me tell you something. Nothing that has ever stood in your way was meant to stop you. It was meant to build you, to shape you, to prepare you for exactly where you're headed. Look back for a second. Look at everything you've been through. The times you thought you couldn't take one more hit, one more disappointment, one more sleepless night. And yet you're still here. Still standing, still pushing. That right there is proof of what you're made of. Proof that you weren't built like the rest. You weren't made to fold when things got hard. You weren't designed to back down when life pushed you. No, life was training you, giving you the scars that separate the weak from the strong, the lost from the chosen. Most people don't get that. They think hard times means stop. They think struggle means quit. But not you. You learned how to take pain and turn it into fuel. You took setbacks and turned them into stepping stones. You took rejection and let it sharpen you, not break you. And that's why they don't understand you. That's why they watch you with disbelief, wondering how you keep getting back up, wondering how you keep moving when everything says you should stay down. They don't realize you were built for this. They don't realize every time you got knocked down, you weren't losing, you were learning. You were becoming unbreakable. You weren't falling apart, you were coming together in ways most people will never understand. And that's exactly why they can't take their eyes off you now. Because while they were looking for shortcuts, looking for easy, you were in the trenches. You were fighting through. You were developing a mindset they will never have. And now, when the moment comes, when the pressure is on, you don't shake, you don't hesitate. You step forward like you already knew this was coming, like you've been here before, because you have. That's what they don't see. That's what they'll never understand. They see the strength, but they don't know the struggle behind it. They see the confidence, but they don't know the years of doubt you had to push through to earn it. They see the way you handle pressure, but they don't know how many times you had to face fear and walk straight through it. And now they're watching. Now they're stuck trying to figure you out. Now they can't help but be drawn to you. Because people are addicted to real power. Not the kind you talk about. Not the kind you pretend to have. The kind that's earned. The kind that comes from surviving things that should have destroyed you. The kind that makes people stop and ask themselves, how is this person still going? You know why. You've always known why. Because you weren't built to break. You weren't built to be ordinary. You weren't built to settle. Everything in your life, the struggles, the losses, the lessons, was part of something bigger, a process, a transformation. And now you walk with something they will never have, the knowledge that nothing can stop you. You don't need to announce who you are. You don't need to convince anybody of your worth. The ones who spend their time shouting, proving, trying to make others see their greatness, they're the ones still unsure of it themselves. But you move differently. You carry something real, a presence, a certainty, a power that doesn't need permission. Look at the great ones, the ones who dominate their fields, the ones who walk into a room and shift the energy without saying a word. They don't have to perform. They don't have to beg for attention. They let their actions do all the talking. And that's exactly what you do. Because when you know who you are, when you know what you bring, you don't have to prove a damn thing to anybody. You don't chase recognition. You don't beg for validation. You show up, you execute, you deliver. And that's what makes them watch. That's what makes them drawn to you. Because there's nothing more powerful than someone who doesn't need approval to move. That's where your power comes from. The quiet confidence, the unshakable belief, the ability to step into any situation and own it, not because you say you will, but because you already decided in your mind that you would. And that kind of presence, it's rare. It's unstoppable. Most people waste their energy trying to convince the world they belong, trying to get people to acknowledge them, to accept them, to believe in them. You don't need that. You don't need anyone to believe in you but you. And once you do, once you move with that deep, undeniable certainty, people won't be able to ignore you. They won't be able to look away because people are drawn to real power. They can't explain it, but they feel it. They sense it. And that's what happens when you walk into a room. They feel something different about you, the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you don't get caught up in the noise, in the distractions, in the games others play. You don't need to be the loudest voice because real power doesn't shout, it commands. And here's what's going to happen. The same people who ignored you, who overlooked you, who doubted you, they're going to start paying attention. They're going to start gravitating toward you, not because you begged them to, but because they have to. Because your energy is undeniable. Because your work, your consistency, your discipline, it speaks louder than words ever could. But here's what separates you from the rest. You don't do it for them. You don't operate based on who's watching, who's clapping, who's approving. You do it because it's who you are. Because excellence is your standard no matter who's paying attention. Because you understand something most people never will. Greatness isn't proven, it's lived. So let them watch, let them wonder. Let them try to figure out what it is about you that makes you different, because they'll never fully understand. They'll never see the battles you fought in silence, the work you put in when no one was watching, the sacrifices you made when no one was clapping. But that's fine. Let them be confused. Let them be drawn to you without knowing why, because at the end of the day, you're not here to explain yourself, you're here to dominate. And real power, it doesn't ask for permission, it just is. Let them talk, let them doubt, let them whisper behind your back, watching, waiting, expecting you to fail. That's what people do when they don't understand you. That's what they do when they see someone who moves differently, who thinks differently, who refuses to be controlled by their expectations. They don't see the hours you've put in. They don't see the sacrifices, the discipline, the work that separates you from the rest. They only see the surface. And from where they're standing, they don't believe you have what it takes. They assume you'll crack under pressure. They assume you'll hesitate, that you'll back down the moment things get tough. But that's their mistake. That's where they got it all wrong. Because while they were busy watching, waiting for you to break, you were building. While they were doubting, you were executing. While they were running their mouths, you were putting in the work that would make them eat every last word. And now, when they see you rise, when they see you moving like nothing can stop you, they don't know what to do with themselves. At first, they act like they don't notice. They ignore your growth. They pretend it doesn't exist, because acknowledging it means admitting they were wrong about you. And people hate that. They hate realizing the person they doubted is the one who left them behind. But then something shifts. They can't ignore you anymore. They start watching a little closer, listening a little harder, trying to understand how you did it, trying to figure out when you became this unstoppable force. And you know the answer. You always knew. It wasn't sudden. It wasn't luck. It wasn't some overnight transformation. It was the result of every single moment you chose discipline over comfort, work over excuses, progress over approval. It was the years of focus, of refusing to let their doubts become your doubts. It was your mindset, your relentless, unshakable belief that no matter what they said, you belonged here. That's what they never saw coming. They expected you to fight back, to argue, to defend yourself. But you didn't waste your energy. You let them think what they wanted to think. You let them believe what they wanted to believe. Because deep down, you knew the work would speak for itself. And now they're stuck. Stuck between the doubt they had and the proof standing right in front of them. Stuck between their own insecurities and the reality that you've already moved past them. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them try to figure out what changed. Because the truth is, nothing changed. You were always this. You were always capable. You were always built for this. The only difference now is that they finally have no choice but to see it. And the best part, you don't even care if they do, because you never did this for them. You never needed their approval. You never needed their belief. You believed in yourself, and that was always enough. Pressure. It's the one thing that separates those who talk from those who do. It's the moment when everything is on the line, when the weak starts second-guessing, hesitating, looking for a way out. And this is exactly where you thrive, because you know the truth. Pressure doesn't break you. It reveals you. It strips away the excuses, the noise, the distractions, and shows exactly who's built for this and who isn't. Some people run from it. Some people crack under it. But you step straight into it. You own it. You don't just survive under pressure, you dominate. Look around. Most people fold when the heat turns up. They start making mistakes, letting fear cloud their judgment. They let the moment control them instead of taking control of the moment. That's why they lose. That's why they stay average. But you've been here before. You've trained for this. You've walked through the fire so many times that now, when the pressure hits, you don't shake. You don't hesitate. You execute. And that's why they don't understand you. That's why they watch in disbelief. because they expected you to crumble. They expected you to be like them, to flinch, to break, to start making excuses when the stakes got high. But instead, you showed them something they weren't ready for. You show them what it looks like when someone is built for this. See, pressure doesn't change you, it exposes you. It brings out what was already there. If you were weak, it'll show. If you're unprepared, it'll show. But if you're built different, if you've done the work, if you've sharpened your mind, your body, your spirit, then when that pressure comes, all it does is show the world exactly why you can't be stopped. That's why you don't fear the big moments. It's why you don't run from challenges, because you know this is what you were made for. Every late night, every early morning, every moment of discipline when no one was watching was for this. Every struggle, every setback, every moment where you had to push through when no one believed in you, it was all preparation for now. And now they see it. Now they realize they underestimated you. Now they can't deny what's right in front of them. And the best part, you never needed them to believe in you. You never needed their approval. They were watching to see if you would fold, and instead they watched you rise. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them be confused by how you stayed so calm when everything was on the line. Let them try to figure out how you managed to thrive in the exact same situations that crushed them. Because the truth is, they'll never understand. They weren't built for this. But you were. And this is only the beginning. Because now that you've stepped into your power, now that you've proven to yourself what you're capable of, there's no stopping you. The pressure isn't going away. The challenges aren't going away. But neither are you. And that's what terrifies them the most. There's something different about you, and they feel it. They don't know what it is. They can't quite put their finger on it, but it's there. It's undeniable. And now they're hooked. Now they can't stop watching. At first, they underestimated you. They dismissed you, overlooked you, maybe even laughed at the thought of you being a real force. They had no idea who they were dealing with, but that was their mistake. They saw the surface, but they never looked deeper. They never saw the work you put in behind the scenes, the sacrifices, the discipline, the endless nights you spent sharpening yourself into something they could never compete with. And now they can't ignore you. Now your presence demands attention because you don't move like the rest. You don't beg for recognition. You don't chase approval. You don't need validation. You just are. And that kind of energy, it's rare. It's magnetic. It pulls people in whether they like it or not. Look around. The ones who once doubted you are now trying to figure you out. The ones who never acknowledged you are now whispering your name. They don't understand how you became this unstoppable force, how you carry yourself with so much control, so much certainty. But you know. You've always known. It was never about proving them wrong. It was never about making them believe in you. It was about proving yourself right. It was about stepping fully into who you were meant to be. And now, they can't look away. They're drawn to the energy, the confidence, the quiet dominance that you bring into every room. You never needed to announce your presence. You never needed to make noise. You let your work, your discipline, your results do the talking. And that's why they're watching now, because success speaks a language they can't ignore. They don't understand why they feel the way they do when you walk in. They don't know why they suddenly have to pay attention when you speak. But that's the thing about real power. It doesn't have to explain itself. It just exists. And when you carry that kind of presence, when you operate with that kind of certainty, people have no choice but to respect it. At first, they fought it. They wanted to keep underestimating you, keep pretending you weren't a threat. But now they're stuck between their old perception of you and the reality standing right in front of them. And reality always wins. Let them be hooked. Let them watch. Let them wonder how you became this person, because the truth is they'll never fully understand. They weren't there when you struggled. They weren't there when you pushed through every setback, every moment of doubt, every time you had to rebuild yourself from the ground up. They weren't there when you turned every loss into a lesson, every failure into fuel. And now, they're addicted to watching you rise. They can't help it, because deep down, they know they counted you out too soon. They thought they had you figured out, but they had no idea. And the best part, you're not even close to finish yet. This is just the beginning.